Hi guys, I'm in Des Moines, Iowa right now. I'm at the airport, and I'm taking a flight back to LA now. By the way, if you're in LA tonight, there's a fundraiser for Morgan Harper. It's a people's fundraiser, just 27 bucks to come. RSVP at tyt.com/mh4oh.org. That's MH as in Morgan Harper, 4 as in the number 4, and then OH as in Ohio, because she's a Just Democrat running in Ohio. So you might get to meet the next AOC and me if you're in LA. I am an activist. I do care if progressives win, and Morgan Harper winning that race is really important. You'll get to see her on the show on Monday, so make sure you check that out. Obviously, 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern, like every day. Now, on to what I saw in Iowa. So I went to the steak fry yesterday, stayed there all day long, talked to tons of supporters for the different candidates, and I came out. I wish I'd done the video that night, but I ran out of time. I came out thinking, oh, I know who's going to win. If we had the election today, now it's actually the caucus is 4 months from now, so it's a lot of time. So that's one of the asterisks. There's a second asterisk that I'm going to tell you about in a second, but if the caucus was held today, Elizabeth Warren would win in a landslide. So that's what I was going to tell you. And then, boom, they beat me to the punch. Des Moines Register and a couple other outlets had a poll out that said, yes, Warren has already taken the lead in Iowa. So 22 points for her. Biden's dropped to number 2. He's at 20. I think Bernie's down at 11. And everybody else is falling. Buttigieg is falling. Kamala's flat. And then they're in single digits. So, but actually, I'm here to tell you, and this is why it's relevant, that her lead is bigger than that. The reason is almost everyone I talked to had her at number 1 or number 2. And which is interesting is they'd have Klobuchar at number 1 and Warren at number 2, or Booker and Biden at number 1, but Warren at number 2, or Bernie at number 1 and Warren at number 2. So no matter where you went on the political spectrum, from the right to the middle to the left, everybody had Warren at number 2. Wow. By the way, that's some good campaigning when you've got everybody convinced you're on their side. Look, that's good political instincts. And look, since she's a progressive, I think she is on everybody's side. But there's a lot of interest in the people. Now, this is going to lead to the asterisk in a second. But Iowa, the folks I've met are so pleasant. And the fact that Elizabeth Warren also has a pleasant demeanor, in a sense, softens what they perceive to be her progressive policy positions. Some of them like it already. And for those who are a little bit more hesitant about progressive policy positions that are supporting Biden or Klobuchar, they're like, yeah, but I like Warren. She's really smart and she's got a plan, etc. So if you're a progressive, that's wonderful to hear, okay? Now, the asterisk is, it really is, guys, there's no joke. It really is too early. And so always I try to back up the anecdotes with polling. This one's a little harder to poll, but every person that I've asked that's a real voter that isn't involved in politics, news, or media says, nah, not paying attention yet. Not paying attention yet. If you're knee deep in politics and you watch a lot of Young Turks or you watch a lot of TV, etc. about these issues, you might think, no, really? And I'm telling you, they can't say Buttigieg's name. I know that's not surprising, right? But they can't name more than 4 candidates. And these are all people that say, no, I'm a voter. I'm a voter. I just haven't tuned in yet. Give me a little bit of time. So what does that mean? That means if the caucus is held today, I forgot to tell you the second part of why Warren would crush. Since why her being at number 2 is relevant. In a caucus, if your candidate doesn't get 15%, whoever you have at number 2 then gets your vote. So since she's number 2 for a lot of people, she's not leading by 2 points, she's leading by 20 points. And I'm keeping it real on that, okay? And whether look, there might be candidates you support that's not good news for. Well, it's news either way, okay? Whether you like it or you don't. I think that's the reality on the ground. That's why, since a lot of those people who don't get to 15%, their votes would go to Warren. I think based on what I've seen on the ground, she's going to, again, held today, win by a much wider margin than even that poll indicates that Scott are at number one. Now, last thing is, the second asterisk is that it's too early. They got 4 months, and the most important 4 months to change the dynamic of this race. So if you're a supporter of the establishment candidates, good luck to you, because how is Biden going to make a comeback? He doesn't have any new message. His new message is as old as time, and politics is not trending in his direction in the Democratic Party. So I think the only guy who really has a chance to catch up in the next 4 months is Bernie Sanders. If he goes out there with an aggressive message saying, I'm going to fight for you, etc., emphasize his receipts, that he's been doing this for 40 years, whatever, that's up to him, right? But he at least has time for a comeback. And so now we're going to get to find out, can Warren keep the lead? Do any of the younger establishment guys rise up to challenge Biden? And does Bernie have one comeback left in him, at least for the sake of Iowa? In the national polling, Warren and Bernie are much closer, and they're both gaining on Biden. So the main storyline is Biden fading, progressives rising. It happens that in Iowa, Elizabeth Warren is rising more significantly than Bernie. Or to be fair, in the last poll, Bernie dipped a little, okay? So, but that's the reality on the ground. Title fight, last 4 rounds here. Let's see what happens. But the news right now out of Des Moines is wonderful for Elizabeth Warren and pretty fantastic overall for progressives.